All right, I believe the live stream is working. So, hello and welcome back to Holt Hanley Weather. If you have been following my channel, you know the big stories going on right now are Winter Storm Pearl and the major snowstorm that could be coming into the Northeast this next Monday and Tuesday. I'm going to be going over both of those in this video, so you can either watch this live stream or you can check out my channel for the condensed forecasts of those big events coming on. You can also subscribe to my channel if you like daily forecasts. Alright, so diving into my screen here, this is the low that we're going to be talking about at the beginning here. This is Winter Storm Pearl. And there's two major things I want you to notice about this low up here. One is the crazy winds that are associated with it. You can really see how fast these wind streams are moving. And these winds are coming in at about 50 to 60 mile per hour gusts, especially in here in New York. There's a high wind advisory where some of these gusts are getting into the 60 mile per hour range, and especially along the lake shore right here. If you think about winds moving through a city, they'll often be dampened at the surface by trees or houses, but over a lake, there's absolutely no friction. So when these winds come in right here, they're going to be coming in full speed because nothing has dampened them, there's no friction, and that's where we're going to see some of the biggest wind effects and some damaging wind effects from Winter Storm Pearl. Right along this lakeshore right here, there's a high wind advisory. And the other big thing I want you to notice is how massive this temperature contrast is. Up here, we have that cold Arctic air that's moving down from Canada. Down here, we have extremely warm air. In fact, if you look on this map right here, it's probably about 75 degrees, 73 in Roanoke, and then just moving up into northern Michigan, you're below freezing, 25 degrees, maybe even to the teens in some places. And the reason for that has to do with the circulation around the low. I had somebody ask me on my channel just this morning how a low can bring up warm air on the right side and cold air on the left side. And really the best way to think about it is looking at these wind streams. You can see it's counterclockwise. So on the right side of the low, it's bringing warm air up. The reason it's warm, one, it's more southern. Typically air closer to the equator is warmer, but it's also over the ocean right here. And you can actually see the Gulf Stream pretty well in this forecast map. See the Gulf Stream right there? That spills into the Atlantic and keeps the air above the Atlantic Ocean right here relatively warm. You can see down here the temperature scale, that's going to be about 70 to 75 degrees. So when the low moves through here, it has that counterclockwise circulation on the southern and right side of this low. The air is moving up from south to north, and that's going to be bringing this warm air with it. And it actually explains why the Northeast really isn't getting any snow with this one. Look at all that warm air that has moved into the area. Parts of New York, mid 50s to 60s, maybe even 65 to 70 in the more coastal areas. So that's why the Northeast is not getting any snow with this low. We're going to be talking about a major storm moving into the Northeast on Monday and Tuesday, but it is not Winter Storm Pearl that is going to be bringing that snow. And again, it's because that warm air being pulled up by this low. Contrasting, on the left side of the low, on the west side, the wind is moving from north to south. So farther north, typically into Canada, air is pretty darn cold. So when you get the winds counterclockwise around the low, when you get those winds moving air from north to south, it's going to bring that cold, dry Canada Arctic air with it. And that's why in the Midwest, on the western side of the low, we can see where that cold Arctic air has really worked in. You can see some spots in Michigan below freezing, 26 in Traverse City, 25 in Cadillac, and I'd imagine as we move up into Minnesota and North Dakota, it's even colder. Yep, working into the teens here. Grafton, 14 degrees, Rugby, 13 degrees. And the encouraging thing If you are, in fact, a snow lover in the Northeast, this cold air is going to work its way down as this low moves off. So as that low moves off, watch as these winds, which are now going from west to east, watch as it brings that cold air in with it. And moving into Monday, when we're going to be getting that snowstorm, you can see there, yeah, let's go right there. That's when the low shows up for the Northeast. This is the storm that is going to be bringing snow to the Northeast on Monday and Tuesday. And you can see because of that cold air that moved in as Pearl moved off, now the Northeast is below freezing. Whereas with Winter Storm Pearl, the Northeast was, you saw mid 60s, low 70s in some places. You're not going to pick up any snow when your temperatures are that warm. However, when this low moves in on Monday and Tuesday, really moving in Monday at about 5 p.m., and then from 5 p.m. to early Tuesday morning, this low is going to be moving up the coast, and you can see the temperature really stays below zero, or not below zero, below freezing, 0 Celsius. Stays below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, which will allow precipitation to fall as snow. Now, what this low does, we talked earlier about how circulation around a low brings up warm air on the right side, cold air on the left side. It's also going to work to bring in moisture. Think about these winds right here. You can really see them kicking up. I think strong winds are going to be a story with this one as well, just like Pearl. But in this case, these winds are going to be bringing in moisture. The air over the Atlantic right here is extremely moist. So these winds are going to be pushing that moisture into the Northeast, which is going to create some clouds. And then when those clouds are all filled with moisture, water vapor, and droplets, that's going to fall as precipitation. When you get temperatures that are below freezing, it can fall as snow. Pretty cool to look at. Yeah, I think that's going to be a pretty interesting storm. Again, that's coming in Monday and Tuesday. So if you want to stay updated on that one, you can subscribe to my channel. I post daily forecast videos every single morning. So if you enjoy following the weather or you're enjoying this live forecast, you can subscribe to my channel. So this is what the Northeast looks like right now. That low right there, that is Winter Storm Pearl. And what that's doing is basically just bringing rain to the Northeast. You can see no snow. No snow in the forecast. Right now, it is just rain in the Northeast. But there are some areas where it is some high rainfall rates. See central New York and northern Pennsylvania working into that 0.2 to 0.4 inch range. And that's pretty significant. That could lead to some flooding, especially if you combine heavy rain with those heavy winds that are going to be pushing this lake water onto the shore right here. So you could get some flooding along the shore in parts of New York. But really, this storm is kind of missing the Northeast. And you can see by tonight, Winter Storm Pearl has moved off. It's done for the Northeast. And then you start to see the next one move in come Monday. So this is what that winter storm is going to look like as it moves in Monday and Tuesday. You can see it shows up and already, just right off the bat, it's bringing snow to central and northern Pennsylvania, western New York, getting a little bit of that snow too. And then it starts to really fill in. Basically all of western New York covered in snow by Monday at about 7 in the morning. Then this is when it really starts to intensify. The reason it intensifies is at this point that low has moved off the shore here, so it's able to bring in some of that moisture from the warm Gulf Stream. That moisture is going to fall over the freezing temperature northeast, and we're going to get these high snowfall rates, especially in northeastern Pennsylvania and southern New York. That's some pretty good snowfall rates right there. That's working into the 0.2 inch range. You see those little purple dots right there? That's where it's going to be really high snow accumulations. And basically all of New York. This is Monday at about 1 p.m. Basically all of New York getting some snow at this point as it starts to work its way into Massachusetts and Connecticut as well. By Monday at about 7 p.m., this is when this low has really started to intensify. Again, it's moved off the coast, so the winds are pushing this moisture into the northeast, while the left side of the low is bringing the cold air down. And you see, you're going to get some nice snowfall rates with this one, maybe 0.2 inches throughout all of eastern New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut. This is really bringing snow to everyone, except for the real coastal locations. The coast typically misses out on big snowstorms because it's moderated by the warm ocean that's right next to it. That air from the warm Gulf Stream, it's pretty warm right there, maybe 70, 75 degrees. So that really keeps these coastal areas a little too warm to pick up the nice snow that we see building into Vermont, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New York. And then moving into early Tuesday morning, this is at about 1 a.m. Tuesday morning, you see that low has started to move up and out of the northeast. So it's a quick hitter. It's going to hit basically Monday at 5 p.m. and it's gone by Tuesday at 5 a.m. Something to look out for, though. There are going to be some decent accumulations. And, I usually don't like to follow models about more than 4 to 5 days out. But it is worth noting that after that system, there's actually another one that's going to be coming through, possibly bringing snow to the northeast Wednesday morning. And, it's showing this one as a nor'easter as well, where you could get that same effect, where you get the moisture moving in on the right side and the cold air coming down on the left side. But this is showing Wednesday night there could be some decent snow accumulations for northern parts of New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. But again, this is almost a week out, and I usually don't trust forecast models this far out, but it's worth noting that something is in the forecast. So let's move on to just a big picture of what Winter Storm Pearl looks like right now. You can see there is snow associated with Winter Storm Pearl. That's Pearl right there. There is some snow associated with it, but it's just too far north. Here's the northeast right here. Snow is way up into Canada. In the northeast, we got the rain, and you'll actually notice there's a strip of rain, heavy rainfall rates, severe thunderstorms, basically from New York all the way into central Texas. And the reason for this, I wish I had pulled up this map, but really the reason for this is because this warm, moist Gulf of Mexico air is actually being pulled all the way up into Winter Storm Pearl. You can see it if you go to the GOES satellite website, and you can see the water vapor actually being pulled all the way up from Texas into this low. And what that's doing is just creating this strip of thunderstorms from Texas to New York. And that's actually a big part of the story here, what's going on in the south and southeast. So just to rephrase, in the northeast, we have high winds and possibly flooding with some of these really heavy rainfall rates. In the south and southeast, it's more of a flooding concern. We still have some pretty extreme winds down here. For example, Oklahoma yesterday got 70 mile per hour winds. Also a big story was Iowa had hail 2 inches in diameter. To put that into context, that's about between the size of a golf ball and a tennis ball. So that's pretty significant. And those high winds are going to continue for the south and southeast throughout the day today. And you can see there are some heavy rainfall rates as well. This is showing what is most likely some severe thunderstorms in basically all of eastern Texas, northern Louisiana, building its way into Mississippi and Alabama. Tennessee's getting a little of this. Again, it's a strip. It goes all the way from Texas up into the northeast, associated with the water vapor being pulled into this low. But this is a big story right here. Northern parts of Texas had some flooding yesterday associated with the same system. And you can see it's continuing right now and throughout the day today. That rain moves off and into the east by tonight. So that's good news. If there is any flooding in Texas, or any more flooding, because I know there already is, but if they're getting some more floods associated with these severe thunderstorms, the good news is it's gone by tonight. By tonight, it's moved off into the southeast, and you can actually see it build in right here. You see this is when it's in northern parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. That's right about now, 1 p.m. on Friday. And then that's going to move east and a little south. But you'll also notice that it loses some of its energy and moisture, and that's the reason there's not a whole lot of tornado threat in the southeast right now. This system, as it just moves off the northeast, it just gets a little bit too far away from the southeast, so some of the effects of pulling that moisture in start to die off. Where we do see those heavy rainfall rates and severe thunderstorms throughout right now, you saw it on the map, it's going on right now. And the reason for that is because of these winds. These winds right here, just kind of the same story as what we were talking about earlier in the northeast. These winds take this air that is sitting over the Gulf of Mexico. It's extremely warm, and it's also extremely moist. And these winds are pushing that warm, moist air into the southeast. What that does, warm air moves in, rises up because it's less dense, creates a bunch of clouds, and those clouds drop precipitation. We see that right on northern Louisiana, northern Mississippi, and northern Alabama. It's interesting to see that the places where we saw the heaviest rainfall were actually just on the other side of this warm air line. And if you're interested, I actually know the reason behind this. The reason is because right here, think of this, this is a little bit colder air. It's maybe 65 degrees into maybe the 60s and mid 50s. Right here, it's all about 75, 80, 85. So what happens is as this warm air moves in, it is actually going to lift up over this cold air. That lifting is going to create the clouds that create the severe thunderstorms, that create the heavy rainfall rates. It's as this warm air pushes over this colder air. And that's why we saw the heaviest rain from northern Louisiana building in right where you see this divide of warm and cold air. It's a pretty cool map. I love to see it. This is honestly my favorite thing to look at with storms like this. It's looking at the temperature contrast and then how the winds are interacting with that. So again, the other big story that's going on is that storm that's going to be moving into the northeast Monday and Tuesday. Now this is showing what the jet stream looks like right now. And you see, that's about as strong as you are ever going to see the jet stream. That is showing winds that are possibly 165, 170 knots. That's about as strong as the jet stream is ever going to get. And this explains why the winds are such a factor with Winter Storm Pearl. I know what you're thinking, 300 millibars, this is way up in the sky. Who cares? This isn't affecting us. Well, as a matter of fact, it actually is. When you get 170 knot winds way up in the sky, some of that energy is going to propagate down to the surface. And that's exactly what's going on. We see 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts in the northeast. And it's because of this energy aloft. And again, this energy is being pulled in actually from the Gulf of Mexico. You can see it better on a water vapor map, but this energy is coming from the warm air that's being pulled up from the south. One other thing, I want to jump back right here. You can really see, there we go, the temperature contrast that's going on in the country right now. In the south, we're looking at maybe 80, 85 degree temperatures, while in the plains, we're in the freezing temperatures. And as a matter of fact, the southeast is about 10 to 20 degrees above average temperatures today, while the plains are about 10 to 20 degrees below average. Right here, it's because of the warm air being pushed in by these winds. Right here, it's because of this cold Arctic high that has moved down from Canada. It's pretty crazy. This is about as big of a contrast as you'll ever see. 20 degrees above average, 20 degrees below average. Just wanted to bring that up real quick. So jumping back to the jet stream map, this is showing what's going on right now. Extreme winds in the jet stream, creating extreme winds on the surface for the northeast. That's the big story with Winter Storm Pearl going on in the northeast right now. It's the extreme winds. They're not getting any snow, but they are getting 50 to 60 mile per hour winds. That's the big story. And then as we see that one move off, I'll pause it right here. Right here, this is showing early Sunday morning. You would not think there's any exciting weather on the way. When you see isobars, these are lines of constant pressure. When you see them completely flat like this, you could basically say to yourself, wow, it's going to be a boring forecast. When these lines are west to east, it's pretty much a telltale sign that no exciting weather is coming. However, we do see this little bump in the jet stream over kind of Utah, Colorado area, and as it moves closer to the northeast, you'll see it really doesn't look like much. It's just a tiny little bump, and then something amazing happens. As it hits the northeast, it just deepens. Right here, you can see it really starts to deepen, and that's what's going to be bringing in the snowstorm Monday and Tuesday. So we can actually take a look at that as it moves in. So this is early Monday morning. You can see there's basically no precipitation for the northeast, but you start to see a move in on the kind of bottom left of your screen here. As this moves in, right away, it just brings some snow to Pennsylvania and western parts of New York. And this is Monday by about 1 a.m. That little dip in the jet stream is already bringing some snow to the northeast. And it just gets better and better. That's what's awesome with this storm. It comes in over West Virginia, and then it actually moves off the coast, which brings in some of the heavier snowfall rates, giving us some good accumulations. We'll check out the accumulations in a second. By Monday at about 7 a.m., you can see basically all of northern Pennsylvania, all of western New York, getting some decent snow with this. Especially right here, you see some of those heavier snow amounts. That's because of the lake effect. You're going to have winds coming down like this, and that's going to take some of the warm, moist air of the lakes, rise it up into clouds, drop it as snow right here. That's when you really start to see these snow accumulations coming in. Northeastern Pennsylvania at 1 p.m. on Monday is seeing some heavy snow rates. That's about 0.2 to 0.4 inches per hour. And southern New York's getting a little taste of this too, as some lighter accumulations start to work into Massachusetts and Connecticut. By really 7 p.m. on Monday, that's when this low has moved off, and this is really when the bulk of the storm's hidden. The reason for that is the counterclockwise circulation around the low. I keep bringing that up, but it's because it really explains how this storm is working. Counterclockwise circulation, pushing in the moisture on this side, and then pulling down the cold air on this side. That's just a perfect little combination, bringing these great snow accumulations you see for basically all of eastern New York, all of Vermont, all of New Hampshire, most of Massachusetts, and all of northern Connecticut. It's even working its way a little bit into southern Maine, but this low is just a little too far south for majority of Maine to really get some of the action on this one. That's the bulk of it though. Again, that is Monday at about 7 p.m. These really good snow rates are going to be moving into the northeast associated with this low that is moving off the coast. So let's just back it up real quick. You see the first hit of snow is Monday at about 1 a.m. and then it is gone by Tuesday at 7 a.m. So it's a real quick hitter. It comes through real fast, and just as soon as it's here, it's gone. So that's going to be something interesting to follow to see what ends up happening with this. Again, it's Friday right now. This is coming in Monday to Tuesday. That's right on the edge of where I start to stop trusting forecast models. So I can pretty much guarantee the forecast models will change for this storm. If you want to stay updated with it, you could subscribe to my channel because I do forecast videos every single day, and I'm going to be following this storm closely. The one other thing I want to talk about is just what the temperatures are going to look like with that snowstorm. So there's Pearl, and the reason I'm showing this is I just want to show why the Northeast isn't getting any snow with Pearl, and it's because look at the temperatures, 66 degrees in New York. It's way too warm to get snow, But with that storm that comes in Monday, you can see this cold Arctic air has started to push in. If we go to around 5 p.m. on Monday, this is West Coast time right here. So this is 5 p.m. on Monday for the Northeast. And remember, that's when that low's right here, pushing in the moisture right here, pulling down the cold air on the left side of the low. And as you can see, the temperatures are cooperating. Unlike Pearl, where New York was 65 degrees, with this storm, it hasn't been named yet. I'm sure they will name it though. With this storm, basically all of New York, most of Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, all below freezing. That's exactly what you want to see if you are a snow lover in the Northeast. These cold, below freezing temperatures are going to allow the precipitation to fall as snow. Moment you've all been waiting for, 24-hour accumulated snowfall. How much is actually going to come in with this storm? You can see that first little dusting that moves in Monday at 1 a.m. going to bring maybe an inch to Pennsylvania. Then it starts to move in fast. Remember, this is a quick storm. It comes in, and within about 24 hours, it's already gone. So it's going to drop all the snow pretty darn fast. You can see most of central and northern Pennsylvania working into 2 to 3 inches by Monday at 7 a.m., while western New York gets a little taste. And then it really starts to fill in, moving into Monday at about 1 p.m., central parts of Pennsylvania working into 5 to 8 inches, while most of New York is into that 1 to 3 inch range. Here's when it starts to really kick up as that low starts to move off the coast and bring in some of that moisture from the Gulf Stream. We start seeing higher accumulations, probably 8 inches throughout most of Pennsylvania, and then 6 to 8 inches working its way into southern New York, especially in the higher elevation places. And then look at that, Connecticut and Massachusetts actually getting something with this storm. And again, that's because the low is off the coast, so the cold air is being brought down on the left side. So that's what's going to allow Massachusetts and Connecticut to get some snow with this one. And you can actually see they're going to get some good accumulations. This is showing by Tuesday morning, this is what the Northeast is picking up with this snowstorm. You see 5 to 8 inches, possibly a foot, in northeastern Pennsylvania, eastern and southern parts of New York, southern Vermont, western Massachusetts, northwestern Connecticut, and central parts of New Hampshire, all above 6 inches, possibly a foot of snow associated with this system. That's encouraging to see. I know I was hearing back from people that they were pretty bummed that Pearl was just moving so far north and they weren't getting any snow. Well, hopefully this one makes up for it. Again, this is moving in Monday, Tuesday. So it is likely that the forecast models will change. Actually, it's not likely. I can guarantee the forecast models will change. But the question is how. If you want to know how, you can subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be doing forecast videos every single day following the storm. And it will be interesting to see if the Northeast gets less snow than this or possibly more snow. For example, when the low moved off the coast, we saw it just kind of move off just right away, really quick. But if it could hang out and just kind of hug the coast as it moves off, then we could start seeing some really good snow accumulations with this one. I mean, this still looks pretty encouraging right here. A foot of snow throughout most of the Northeast. That is good to see. So remember, if you want to stay updated with that storm, you can subscribe to my channel. And if you're listening right now and you missed out on the beginning of this forecast video, I'm just going to run through my slides again real quick. So let's check it out right here. Here it is showing the entire country. This is the low. This is Winter Storm Pearl. And there's two things I want you to look at here. It is, one, obviously Winter Storm Pearl, and these crazy wind streams that are moving into this low. That's the big story associated with Winter Storm Pearl. It's these high winds. Parts of New York, 50, 60 mile per hour winds associated with Winter Storm Pearl. That's the big story with that. You can see it's way too warm to be getting any snow. New York is actually into the 65 to 70 degree range. So yeah, no snow with Winter Storm Pearl for the Northeast, but you are getting some decent rainfall with it, as well as extreme winds. So even though you're not getting snow, it's still an exciting storm to follow. The other thing I want you to look at on this map is the amazing temperature contrast that you see between the southeast and kind of the plains working into the Midwest. Down here, working into parts of Florida, you can see it's about 80, 85 degrees in some places, while just up here in the plains and Midwest, you can see temperatures are in the teens. In fact, places in the southeast are 10 to 20 degrees above average right now. Places in the plains and Midwest are 10 to 20 degrees below average. Pretty amazing to see that contrast right there. And it's because of two things. One, this low is bringing up this warm air. It's flowing all the way from the Gulf of Mexico into this low. So that's really pulling in this warm tropical air, especially from the Gulf of Mexico, where you can see that air right there is pretty much always 75 to 80 degrees. And these winds are just pulling it in to Florida, Georgia, South North Carolina. Really, that's the reason these temperatures are 10 to 20 degrees above average. Whereas down here, you see this high pressure flowing in from Canada. And that's going to be bringing a lot of cold, dry air down from Canada. And you can see as far south as Nebraska, you're getting those below freezing temperatures, 30 degrees in North Platte, 24 degrees in Denver. Pretty interesting to see. Again, the other big story with this low winter storm Pearl is these extreme winds that you see filling into New York. Actually, a high wind advisory in New York. The other big thing I just want to bring up real quick, yesterday, as this low is moving through the Midwest, it brought 2-inch in diameter hail to Iowa. 2-inch diameter. To put that into context, that's somewhere between the size of a golf ball and a tennis ball. I hope if you were parking your car in Iowa yesterday that you parked it in a garage, because I can pretty much guarantee 2-inch hail is going to put some dents in your hood, possibly crack some windshields. The other big story with Pearl as it moved through the Midwest yesterday was the extreme winds that it brought, one, for the Midwest, but also all the way as far south into Oklahoma. Oklahoma at 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts associated with this low as it moved through the Midwest. That's two of the big events that happened yesterday. Also, Texas had 300 lightning strikes. So there was some interesting stuff that happened with this low as it moved through the Midwest. We had 2-inch hail, 70-mile-per-hour winds, and 300 lightning strikes. That's some pretty cool weather facts right there. But this is what Winter Storm Pearl is doing right now. And I'll go into full screen mode so that this just looks a little bit cleaner. So this is what Winter Storm Pearl is doing right now. As you can see, and like I said, Northeast is just too warm to be really getting any snow with this one. You can see there is some snow. It's just too far north. And really some isolated areas where we got some severe thunderstorms, possibly some hail, and definitely some rain building into northern parts of Pennsylvania, central New York. That's about 0.2 to 0.4 inches per hour. So that's something. That could lead to some flash flooding, especially when you combine those high rainfall rates with the extreme winds that are pushing over the lake. You get a combination of those two factors, you could definitely get some flooding along the lakeshore right here. Again, Pearl, quick mover. It moves in. This is really the bulk of Pearl as it hits the Northeast, bringing some rain, some extreme wind, and then within the next 6 hours, it's gone. But you got some exciting weather on the way. And if you were bummed that you're not getting any snow associated with Winter Storm Pearl, I got good news for you. Come Monday and Tuesday, a pretty major snowstorm is going to be working its way into the Northeast. We're going to be covering that a bunch throughout this video, so stick around. And actually, I'll cover it right now. You can see Monday at 1 a.m., the snow starts to work into the Northeast. Basically, all of northern Pennsylvania, picking up maybe 0.1 inches per hour of snowfall at this point, as well as some western parts of New York. Start to see that snow build in Monday at 1 a.m. And then, as this low continues to build in, you really see the snow fill in through all of northern Pennsylvania and all of western New York. Then this low is going to move off the coast, which is going to push in a ton of moisture from the Gulf Stream, bring down a bunch of cold air from the Arctic, and just combine to form this bullseye of heavy snowfall rates over northeastern Pennsylvania and southern New York. That's some good snow accumulations right there. That's maybe 0.1 to 0.2 inches per hour of snow. And you can see there's lighter snow rates throughout basically all of New York. Those lighter snow rates really, actually, no, this is some high snow rates working its way into Vermont, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, all of eastern New York by Monday at 7 p.m. Again, that low right there, they haven't named the storm yet. I can pretty much guarantee they're going to name this because it's going to be bringing a foot of snow to some places. And you can see, again, this is Monday at about 7 p.m. This low is just sitting off the coast of New Jersey, and the winds, they're counterclockwise around this low. On this side, they're going to be pushing in the moisture from the warm Gulf Stream, and then up here, they're going to be bringing down cold Arctic air. That's going to combine and just really drop some good snow to eastern New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, northern Connecticut on Monday at about 7 p.m. The thing about this low, though, it's a quick mover. By Tuesday at about 1 a.m., you can see it's already starting to move off the coast, lighter accumulations working their way into Maine, but really Maine misses out with this one because the low is just a little too far south and doesn't hug the coast as it continues to move off into the Atlantic. Again, I'll back it up real quick. You can see by Monday morning, it hasn't really built into the Northeast at all. Builds in Monday at 1 a.m. You start to see those flashes come in, and then by Tuesday at about 7 a.m., it's gone. No more snow for the Northeast. I will mention, I'll say with some caution, because I usually don't trust forecast models this far out, but there is another low moving in after that one on Wednesday at about 7 a.m. It's showing some snow for parts of New York, and then that snow is going to be really intensifying as that low moves off the coast. Northern New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine could be getting another snowstorm throughout the day Wednesday. Again, that's a little farther out than I usually like to trust the models. I usually have a 2-day rule for the big winter storms. Seems like after 2 days, it gets a little hand wavy. And more than anything else, you can just guarantee it's going to change. So, I mean, even that storm I was just going over, the one that's coming in Monday and Tuesday, that forecast will change. So if you want to stay updated with that one, I do these forecast videos every single morning. So you could subscribe to my channel, or you could check out my channel where I made 2 videos this morning in just kind of a more condensed format going over that storm. This is the big picture of what Winter Storm Pearl looks like right now. As you can see, there is snow associated with Winter Storm Pearl. It's just north of us. It's far, far north of the Northeast. Northeast is getting extreme winds and some extreme rain as well. That's the big story for the Northeast. Rain, winds. Yesterday, we had some hail, but I'd say it's a little too warm in the Northeast to really be picking up any hail with this one. The other thing associated with Winter Storm Pearl up here is this strip of rain that you see going, it's pretty cool to see. It's basically going all the way from Vermont, New Hampshire to central Texas. And you can see this if you check out a water vapor map. You can actually see this low all the way up here, north of the Northeast, is pulling up water vapor from the Gulf of Mexico. It's actually awesome to see, and it's just pulling it all the way in, and it's in a strip. And that strip is where we're seeing these heavy rainfall rates and severe thunderstorms. That's the big story for Texas, is the severe thunderstorms. They had some yesterday, 300 lightning strikes. And I believe there was 10 to 15 tornado warnings. I haven't heard of any that actually touched down. There was some wind damage, especially in Oklahoma, where we had 70-mile-per-hour winds. But I didn't hear of any tornadoes yesterday, and luckily, I don't think tornadoes are going to be a big problem today. The reason for that is, you'll see in a second. We got these heavy rainfall rates, most likely some severe thunderstorms right here. You see that's 0.4 to 0.5 inches per hour of rain, going from basically central and eastern Texas into northern Louisiana, northern Mississippi, working its way into Alabama and Tennessee. But the thing is, even though it's bringing some heavy rainfall, the tornado threat isn't totally there, and that's because a lot of the energy associated with this system has already been used up. It was mostly used up yesterday with all those extreme winds that we had. And you need what's called CAPE. It's available potential energy. And a lot of that was used up yesterday with all the severe thunderstorms we had. So there's not as much around today to form those tornadoes, which is a good thing. However, we do still have some flash flooding and some severe thunderstorms moving through eastern Texas, northern Louisiana, northern Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee right now. And what that's going to do, most likely lead to some flash flooding in some places. You can't get rainfall rates like this without getting some flash flooding. That's pretty extreme right there. That's what, 0.5 inches per hour. That's going to look like some tropical thunderstorms moving through. And in fact, it did bring some flooding to Texas yesterday. But like I said, there's not a whole lot of available potential energy left because a ton of it was used up yesterday. You can see by really tonight, those thunderstorms, those heavy rainfall rates are gone for Texas, gone for Louisiana, gone for Mississippi. And that's actually encouraging to see. I feel like the entire Southeast has just been getting way too much rain for the last month and a half. It seems like it's just been constant rain and flooding down there. So it's good to see that this one's not going to stick around too long. I mean, that's not to downplay what's going on right now, though. This is Friday at about 1 p.m. That's when I'm filming this video. And, yeah, northern Louisiana, especially Mississippi, that's about 0.5 inches per hour. But you'll notice, as I click through here, it just kind of dissipates and goes away. Really, by tonight, the heavy rain and the thunderstorms are gone. That's encouraging to see. Maybe you can enjoy your weekend if you're allowed to go outside in the Southeast. I know in California, where I am right now, we are basically under lockdown. This is actually the first time I've gone outside in about 3 days because we're not supposed to leave our houses. But again, that's because I live by San Francisco, which is a big city, and coronavirus could get pretty crazy. So, knock on wood, wishing luck that just kind of goes away. It's wishful thinking. Alright, getting back to the weather. This is what's causing those extreme rainfall rates and severe thunderstorms building into eastern Texas, northern Louisiana, northern Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee. And you can actually see it perfectly on this map. This perfectly explains the mechanism driving these rates right here. You see, pay close attention to where this rainfall line is, and really the most severe thunderstorms. When you click to here, you can see that's just right where that line is between these really warm temperatures and these just kind of medium temperatures. The reason behind that, this is one of my favorite maps right here because it just lines up so perfectly. Look at that. Right there, that line of rain and the severe thunderstorms perfectly lines up with this line dividing the extreme warmth with the more mild temperatures. If you look at it, it's about 85 degrees right here, 65 degrees right here. So what happens as these winds push in, and they're actually being pushed in by Winter Storm Pearl way up north here, as they get pushed in, this warm air is going to hit this boundary of kind of cooler, more mild air. And that warm air, it's less dense, so it's going to actually rise up above this mild air. Now, rising air creates clouds. Those clouds create thunderstorms, and there's a ton of moisture because this is the Gulf of Mexico, lots of water right there. So that warm air hits the cold air, less dense, so it rises up, creates a bunch of clouds, thunderstorms. It's moist, so it drops it in the form of rain. And man, I'm sorry if I'm geeking out and I just got way too sciencey, but I just think this is such a cool map. How perfectly these rain accumulations and rates line up with this boundary where this warm air is going to be getting pushed up above, leading to upward vertical motion above these more mild temperatures. The one other thing that's worth noting, again, 10 to 20 degrees above average in the southeast, 10 to 20 degrees below average in the plains. Pretty amazing to see. All right, jumping back to the jet stream right here, this is Winter Storm Pearl, and this really explains why the winds are so extreme with this. On the surface, we're getting maybe 50 to 60 mile per hour gusts. Remember yesterday I said Oklahoma had 70 mile per hour gusts? But like I said, Northeast getting 50 to 60 mile per hour gusts associated with Winter Storm Pearl. And it's because of all this energy that you see is in the jet stream right now. That, I'll tell you, that is about as extreme of a jet stream as you are ever going to see. That's about 165 to 170 knots right there. Now I know what you're thinking. This is way up in the sky. Who cares? But this energy right here is going to propagate downward. And in fact, it's not going to. It is right now. You could see those extreme winds already pushing into the northeast. And it's because you got 170 knot winds aloft. That energy propagates downward. And we get 50 to 60 mile per hour winds on the surface. That's really the big story with Winter Storm Pearl. But again, the other big story that's going on is that snowstorm that's going to be moving in Monday to Tuesday. So let's take a look at it. And I love pausing on this map right here and looking at the isobars. As you can see, isobars, lines of constant pressure, they're completely flat from basically the Midwest to the Northeast, which is weird knowing that there's a major snowstorm on the way. When you see flat isobars going basically parallel from west to east, whenever I see that, I pretty much think, oh wow, no exciting weather is going to be coming in the next day or two. Just not really going to be some great forecast videos to make. However, there's this little dip by Utah and Colorado that, you know, it stays as a tiny little dip. Right there, it's still extremely flat. And then watch what happens as it moves into the northeast on Monday and Tuesday. It just intensifies. Right there, you see it really start to dip down and deepen. Dip down and deepen. That sounds cool. It dips down and deepens and just really creates that snowstorm that we're going to be seeing for the northeast Monday and Tuesday. It's just so cool to see that. Right here, it's still extremely flat. And then all of a sudden, this little trough just pops up out of nowhere and brings a decent little snowstorm to the northeast Monday and Tuesday. So let's look at the precipitation as it comes in. You can see by Monday morning, really not a lot going on. Early Monday morning, like 1 a.m. And then as we move through, you start to see that snow build into Pennsylvania, northern Pennsylvania, western New York, starting to pick up some snow with that one. And then by Monday at about 7 a.m., this is when you're going to be commuting to work, if you are still in fact going to work, given the whole coronavirus. But if you are still commuting to work, your commute on Monday morning is likely going to have some snow if you live in northern Pennsylvania or western New York. And then really building in by 1 p.m. on Monday, this storm starts to intensify. This is when it starts to move off the coast, where it can start kicking in some moisture, pulling down the cold air, creating this bullseye of snow accumulation in northeastern Pennsylvania to southern New York. And then it continues to intensify. There you see that low. The winds are on the low, counterclockwise. They're going to be pushing in this warm, moist air into the northeast on the right side of this low, whereas on the northern and western parts of the low, it's going to be pulling down that cold Arctic air from Canada, so that when that moisture moves in, there's going to be some precipitation, and because it's really cold air, that precipitation is going to fall as snow. That's great to see after Winter Storm Pearl. Winter Storm Pearl was just way too warm. It was like 65 degrees in New York right now. So really no snow with Winter Storm Pearl. I was getting comments from people saying how disappointed they were with that storm. Well, the good news is Monday and Tuesday there's a decent snowstorm working its way into the Northeast, and it's actually going to bring a foot of snow to basically the majority of the Northeast states. Again, it's a quick hitter though. Let's go back right here as it moves in. Monday at about 1 a.m., you start to see the first effects snow building into Pennsylvania and New York, and then it works its way through, and by Tuesday at about 7 a.m., it's already gone. So this is a quick hitter. And the one thing, if you're a snow lover in the Northeast, that you're going to want to see change, notice how this low right here, it just moves straight east. It moves off the coast just really fast. It's pretty much here and gone within about 24 hours. If this low could hang out for a little bit, or possibly hug the coast as it moves up, that's when you can start getting snow accumulations into the 2 to 3 foot range. Right now, it's just looking like a foot. But again, at least we're getting something. With Winter Storm Pearl, you see it right there. Look at New York. It's about 65 to 70 degrees in some places. Even parts of Maine are almost 50 degrees, 56 degrees. Yeah, that's why there's no snow with Winter Storm Pearl. But well, look what happens as I click into Monday. Boom, that cold Arctic air has really started to work its way in. And that's this system that's going to be bringing in snow. So you can see right here, this is Monday at about 5 p.m. if you're on the East Coast. Like I said, these winds are pushing in the moisture, while on the left side of the low, it's bringing down that cold air from Canada. The big thing you want to look at on this map, though, is where are the freezing temperatures, because that's pretty much going to indicate where you're going to get snow. You can see northeastern Pennsylvania, where we saw those highest snowfall rates. That's where you're below freezing. Eastern New York, where we saw those highest snowfall rates. That's where you're below freezing. Vermont, New Hampshire, western Massachusetts, that's where you're below freezing. I keep saying that, but that's what you need if you want to accumulate snow. And I mean, this low is looking pretty good. Like I said, it moves off into the Atlantic a little too fast, a little faster than I'd like it to. What we're going to hope is that at this point right here, it just moves up the coast. Like I said, this is hitting Monday and Tuesday, and forecast models get a little shaky once they're more than 2 days out. So that low, who knows? Perhaps it'll move way up into Canada like Pearl did, and you won't get any snow. But perhaps it'll move up the coast, and you get 2 to 3 feet of snow. Really, the only way you can know what's going to happen is by subscribing to my channel, where I'll be making forecast videos every single day covering this storm. One last thing to leave you with, the 24-hour accumulated snowfall associated with this storm that's going to be moving into the Northeast Monday and Tuesday. It's the moment you have all been waiting for. How much snow is the Northeast going to get with this major snowstorm that is moving in Monday and Tuesday? You see, by Monday at about 1 a.m., we get that first little dusting in Pennsylvania, possibly an inch accumulated by 1 a.m. By 7 a.m., you can see it started to fill in, and this is just the start. And Pennsylvania's already got 2 to 3 inches. Parts of western New York has worked into the 2 to 3 inch range. And then this is when it starts to intensify. Central Pennsylvania into the 5 to 8 inch range. Well, you can see the snow is almost moving like a wave from west to eastern New York. And that wave continues into Vermont and New Hampshire as we start to see even better accumulations building into Pennsylvania and southern New York. More than 5 inches by Monday at about 7 p.m. Again, this is Monday at 7 p.m. and most of northern and northeastern Pennsylvania has 7 inches to a foot of snow. Basically, all of New York has at least 2 to 3 inches, and some of New York has about 6 to 8 inches. This continues to build in throughout Monday night and Tuesday morning. By Tuesday at about 1 in the morning, you can see this strip in eastern New York where you're getting 7 inches to a foot of snow. Southern Vermont is going to get some nice accumulations, maybe 6 to 8 inches. A bullseye in New Hampshire, that's a higher elevation place, 5 to 8 inch range. And it's encouraging to see Massachusetts and Connecticut picking up some snow with this one too. 5 to 8 inches in eastern part or western parts of Massachusetts and northwestern Connecticut. And then that, like I said, it's a quick mover, so that one's gone. And I'll just show you this little system that's coming in Wednesday and Thursday. This is a little sneak peek. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I don't trust forecast models if they are more than 4 days out. But this is showing right now that on Wednesday and Thursday, after that snowstorm moved in Monday, Tuesday, they're showing another system moving through Wednesday, Thursday that could be bringing 5 to 8 inches, maybe a foot of snow to northern New York, southern Vermont, western Massachusetts, southern New Hampshire. That's going to be something to follow. Again, if you want to follow that, you can subscribe to my channel. I post forecast videos every single day. And you can also check out my forecast playlist. I think I've made about 5 weather videos in the last 24 hours. So if you've missed out or you want to catch up on even more content, you can check out my weather channel. It's Holt Hanley Weather on YouTube, where, yeah, I've literally done about 5 weather forecast videos in the last 24 hours. So you got a lot to catch up on, including this entire video that was about an hour-long live stream. I'm going to try to continue to do live streams like this. If you want to be notified when I do a live stream, you can click that little bell icon, and that'll actually send you a notification when I go live. I'm not totally sure how much I'll be able to do that recently or moving forward because, again, I'm under Corona house arrest because I live in the Bay Area, and we're basically on a lockdown because of the coronavirus. And as it turns out, my Wi-Fi at home is not strong enough to give you guys a good stream for a live stream forecast. But I'll try to come in to campus, San Jose State, every once in a while just so I could do one of these live stream videos for you guys. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I know somebody asked me a question this morning about how a low pressure can bring down cold air on the left side and warm air on the right side. And I answered it. I sent her a nice website to see some good graphics on it. So if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm more than happy to answer them. Who knows, I might even make an entire video explaining the concept for you. If you've watched this video, I'd like to thank you for watching. And again, I'll just ask you one last time. If you enjoy following the weather or you enjoy following this video, you can subscribe to my channel where I do daily forecasts. Thanks for watching.